Hello, MCDP. My name is Alejandro Larios. I'm currently serving as your second vice chair of the Maricopa County Democratic Party, and I am seeking re-election for this race. A bit about me is I grew up in the West Valley here in Phoenix, Arizona. My parents are both from Mexico. They came here for a better life. And I was always raised with the collective mindset of you always work hard for your community. And not much has changed 34 years later. Um, I am a small business owner. I've been in the Valley for over 30 years. I know what it's like to go through school in our public systems, to benefit from the programs, and also what it's like to grow up in an underserved community. So it means everything to me to have a place at the table. So we have a few questions we're going to go over as candidates, and we're going to be able to view those now. So the 2020 election, we knew so much was at stake. There was just no possibility of not going in and really having all hands on deck. In 2020, not only did the presidential race and our state U.S. Senate race mean everything, but our county race was just crucial in getting resources and the right people to our community. As a small business owner, I had the privilege to have the MCDP voter guides and pass them out to our patrons. We have a small coffee shop in downtown Phoenix. We wanted to make sure that our patrons had the resources to be effective. We also used our social media platform with over 4,000 followers to spread awareness around voter dates and the candidates that were best going to serve their communities as well. We also organized a huge canvass in the West Valley about a month out before Election Day. We brought in statewide candidates, countywide candidates to really build enthusiasm around the West Valley. Too often we see that a lot of the energy tends to just not go into West Valley districts, whether it's because they're blue, because they're safe, or perhaps there's just not enough voters. Voter turnout to invest is the mindset. You know, we're looking to change that, and we have changed that already. We've also had, I tapped into my network, as I mentioned earlier, around the participation that's needed in the West Valley specifically. We have blue districts. We don't have as much investment in them. So getting folks from the West Valley, from the East Valley, from the Central Phoenix to really invest their time and energy was crucial. I also spoke to a lot of Spanish-speaking media throughout the election cycle. It's really important to connect those communities, our communities, to the Democratic Party. We know our party is a party for our community. We know that our party aligns with the needs of our community. We don't always have a bridge there. So playing as a bridge, speaking to media, speaking to small businesses, canvassing endlessly, it played a big role. Now with that, what experiences do I bring to the board? I have a background in education. I have a background in design, marketing, and communications work. All of these things matter because at the end of the day, voter participation is around being moved to action. It's a call to action, whether it be certain values that align with your worldview or just simply your quality of life needs to change. And so as a small business owner, building teams, building products, and really creating action is crucial. And that's going to play a role in our 2022 election. It's not what we do 3 months or 6 months before the election. It's what we do years leading up to it. I'm really proud of what's happened in 2020. We saw a huge leap towards the direction we want to go. And it's really simply at this point, just a base, a springboard, if you will, of what's going to happen in 2022. Having grown up in the West Valley, in an underserved community, there's just this perception or this really understanding and experience of what it's like to grow up there. What is going to fall on deaf ears? What's going to create action? That's just something you cannot train or purchase. So having that experience is going to play a huge role in partaking in that increasing voter participation in the West Valley and amongst young people as well. So some top priorities in the for the board. Fundraising is a huge one. Having built in this last couple of years a relationship with small business owners, one of the things that connected me to them was not just the business itself, but my connection to the community. So the question I'm often asked is, how do they turn that into power and into action? Raising funds is crucial and for all elections, but as well, engaging the small business community with the Democratic Party is going to be a huge one. We know that's something that needs to happen. We want to continue speaking to media, Spanish-speaking media, building relationships there. I also have had conversations with some of the LD chairs in the West Valley around building a coalition of blue districts and the blue wall in the West Valley on how to really increase voter turnout. We know blue districts tend to feel safe, and we tend to invest a lot in purple districts. What we're taking for granted is all of those votes that we need to turn out in the governor's race, in statewide races. And so that's a huge one for me, as well as other board members I've had conversations with, increasing participation, connecting the Latino, Latinx community to the party, because really our values align. The problem is we don't always align in the language we're speaking. And that's just simply the communications work that we need to work on. So in order to create a more diverse democratic Maricopa County Democratic Party, it's where it's from within. In 2018, I ran for the Arizona House of Representatives. We built a huge, huge volunteer team, and it was all around, it was a purpose-driven campaign. It was more than a candidate. It was more than an election. It was around our quality of life. It was around change. And it was in that we attracted the most diverse team we had for a statewide race. We had folks from all over town speaking several languages. We have 5 languages in our campaign, and that comes from within. So being very purposeful about who you're talking to, who you're listening to, most importantly, who you're engaging consistently really shows where you live, who you're building those bridges with. That's crucial. So in inviting community leaders from different communities to not just listen to us, but for us to listen to them is crucial. It's a relationship is a cycle of give and take, and a lot of these marginalized communities have not been listened to. We have been speaking for a very long time, and we cannot afford to just listen every 2 years or every 4 years. That's where this is going to make the biggest difference. It's really truly investing and becoming one as a people, working class people that really just need to have a common goal. LDs and PCs, I cannot stress how often I'm asked from friends and family of mine on what PCs are as I'm speaking to them. Really connecting the dots and making it very easy for folks to understand how easy it is for them to become leaders in our community. So I'd love to continue the efforts that have been laid before me on PC guides, but also really engaging the Spanish-speaking community. This is not only small business owners, community leaders, but folks all across the spectrum. LDs, as I mentioned earlier, in the West Valley tend to, or in general, LDs, we have an opportunity to really communicate more. As we reorg and our legislative districts are looking to shuffle here soon, it's going to be more important than ever to really bring those together, bring in our efforts, and it's a huge common goal we need to have as LDs, as a party. We can't leave anything to chance. So it's going to be important that LDs are working together consistently, Our communities don't see legislative districts. They don't see lines. Our communities have been built for decades and decades and decades. We need to start seeing politics very similarly, especially as we're building long-term relationships. So we want to make sure that we're as in the world that we're in now with COVID, that we're using the best online communications work that we can, but we're also laying ground for what the in-person energy that's to come once it's safe to be around other people. And I'm super excited to be running again. I was appointed back in March, and I ran in the summer convention. It's been an absolute honor. In the small amount of time that I've been on there, I've had the opportunity to work with different legislators and candidates on how to really bring in resources to different districts. Senator Navarrete, who is my state senator in Legislative District 30, upon talking to him and connecting him to the MCDP board and staff, really, we saw an amazing collaboration that just created a phenomenal field program that just doubled in size. And it's a lot of this communication work that needs to work. It's been my absolute pleasure to use a lot of the resources that I have in my small business, my experiences from my 2018 campaign, and it would be an honor to continue to serve our community as your second vice chair of the Maricopa County Democratic Party. Thank you so much.